All right, thank you, Mr. Rhodes. So Charlotte City Council now going to vote tonight on a controversial LGBT proposal which would update the city's non-discrimination ordinances. Someone who helped draft the proposal says that it's meant to provide protection for LGBT community members by adding marital status, gender identity, and gender expression into current ordinances that we have now. The most controversial part is, of course, the fact that the proposal could provide protection now for transgendered individuals to use restrooms that they most identify with. Matt Fleischman is a partner at the Rosensteel Fleischman Law Firm in Charlotte, and he joins us this morning to clear up some confusion about this. We've had several people on, Matt, who have been on one side or the other, and we wanted someone who is just objective, who can come on and say, this is what the law is now, this is what it would be if this ordinance passed. So thank you for coming in, first of all.
Sure.
Let's start with that. How does the non-disclosure ordinance read now? What does it include and what does not include?
Well, it basically mirrors what you have under federal law, which is protection for your race, religion, creed, ethnicity, etc. What this is doing is basically adding new enumerated classes of protection for sexual identity, gay, lesbian, transgender, etc.
So I have the four here, specifically that it would protect, where is it in my notes? I'll look for that so we can give the specific wording there. But what everybody's worried about, right, is how this is going to play out. If it passes, what's going to happen? If it doesn't pass, what's going to happen? Right now, if it doesn't pass, if we stay the way that we are now, does it mean that legally a business can say to an individual, we're not going to serve you or be the florist for your wedding or whatever the case may be because you are gay or because you are anti-gay or whatever the case may be? Is that legally protected right now?
Well, there's no protection for gay, lesbian, transgender, family status, etc. under federal law. So certainly if a private business does not wish to serve, there is no protection for the victim in the situation. So arguably, yes, if you don't want to serve somebody, you don't have to serve somebody. Now, questionably, whether you could lose your business license for that, etc., whether you can get sued for some other issue related to that, that's up in the air. But
based on what, though? What would you get sued for if it's legal for you to say that that's
well,
why you're
the
doing
argument
it?
B is if there is some sort of intentional infliction of emotional distress caused by the person that you refuse to serve. That's a civil action that can be brought, but under federal law, there's really nothing that can be done.
Okay, so let's say this does pass. Let's say that the ordinance goes through tonight. It gets the votes that it needs. The bathroom issue is something that lots of people have brought up as being something that could come out of this, and what would that all mean? People who are for the ordinance have said that all it means is that transgendered individuals would now be protected and be able to choose which bathroom they're most comfortable using.
Right.
Opponents say that men could dress up as women and legally be protected to go in and use a women's bathroom or vice versa, even if they're not actually transgendered. What's the truth here?
Well, the truth is that it would allow transgender people to use the restroom with the sex that they're most related that they relate to.
Identify to.
Correct. So short of checking under somebody's dress, the argument would be how would you actually know?
Right.
The concern that some people have posted is that they don't want a man to come into the women's restroom dressed as a man and just hang out in the restroom. And as the proponents of the new change have argued, there are laws against that already. You cannot, sexual predators cannot go into bathrooms and prey on individuals. The argument being that, the argument by the proponents for this change is that you want to protect people that are transgender who are dressed as women from going into male bathrooms and obviously putting themselves at risk from people.
Okay, but to be clear here, as it stands now, as it's worded, if a man were to, and you could take this either way, but certainly the bigger concern seems to be that a man would go into a women's bathroom or a women's locker room, expose him or herself, whether or not it be intentional or not, and that young girls, young boys, what have you, would that be legally protected? I mean, if that person says I'm transgender, could they legally do that?
Well, my guess is what would happen is that the police would still get called if there's a situation or a questionable situation. The defense would be obviously that the person would be transgender, and this is just how they, their lifestyle. Okay, I think your deeper question is what is the enforcement under the ordinance? The enforcement is not enumerated, so there is no real enforcement other than there's a board that would be that has been set up over the years. It's been in existence for decades at this point, that tries to, outside of legal channels, to get the two sides together and come to some sort of an agreement. Short of that, there is state law that would allow for a fine of up to $500, and potentially it's a misdemeanor for the businesses, et cetera, and potentially you could have some jail time if you have at least 3 prior violations.
Okay, so it would become something that becomes mediated rather, and that we could track, right? That's part of the issue too, is that now if it's not illegal, we can't track it, so we don't know how big of an issue it is or isn't.
Correct. And what the argument is, it's not that big of an issue right now, so this is just enumerating the problem, enumerating what the issues could be and protecting it before it becomes an issue.
Being able to actually track it.
Right.
Matt Fleischman with Fleischman and Rosenstiel Law Firm, we appreciate your coming in
My pleasure.
and shedding some light on this, clearing some things up. Thank you so much. Let's take it over now to Eric.